sounding real soft right now. You know, they just making it real easy for us. Shit's like Iron Mike versus Class Joe. Welcome to the Fight Club. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked out. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked out. To the Fight Club. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked out. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked out. To the Fight Club. Come out and you're getting knocked out. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked out. To the Fight Club. Come out and you're getting knocked out. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked out. Bloody knuckles in a real funny shuffle. Weapons concealed, ain't gotta flex a muscle. Niggas know the deal, they don't really wanna tussle. Cause we turn ice grills into jigsaw puzzles. The steel starts sparking, go wish you had a muzzle. Niggas rap about trapping and making bricks double. All that yapping and flashing got his ass in the trouble. Flapping like a fish out of water in a puddle. A piece of blood, shit, mud, better fix your mug. They just after the matrix, we here to pull a plug. Dreaming. They wish they was thugs, but in real life, all these cats are pretenders. Niggas good at playing villains like Michael Fassbender. I'm a good man with a really, really bad temper. Get an ass a good lesson, something to remember. Know just how to make pain last forever. Spit a flaming, straighten out all these transgenders. Corona queens, knockout kings in the ring. I ain't chin subliminal jabs, don't mean a thing. We undeniable for real, you can't stop me. Really hoping that you bring out your posse. We handing out ass whippers, wholesale. These new rappers are so frail. Get at me, dog, and euthanize if you don't tuck your tail. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked down. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked down. To the Fight Club. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked down. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked down. To the Fight Club. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked down. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked down. To the Fight Club. Come out and you're getting knocked down. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked down.
We be getting rockin' when we rollin'. He wasn't trying to be cool when we told him not to mess with them boys, so don't hold them. Give a fuck, that's it, man, we don't know them. When they don't listen, you gotta make them feel. When they don't see the vision, you gotta make it real. When you put in a position with your back against the wall, the harder they come, the harder they fall. Anything goes, when it takes all. Keep flapping doors, you gotta set a steel ball. Front on me and mine, we will see you and yours clash kamikaze style while screaming fuck them all. Wanna go to war, always an open door. No time for double dutch, pump jump if you're sure. Jack up the courage, got you punch drunk on the floor. Sober up, with your mouth feeling sore, head feeling swole, eyes shut closed, tooth missing, blood running from your nose. Jab hooked up quick, watch the combo. You fucking with a southpaw, stepping on your toe. They keep talking stupid, but these villains ain't slow. They gon' learn quick, it's undeniable. Take the beef for the cow, don't mess with the bulls. No joke, get dragged out, now that's your leg being pulled. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked down. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked down. To the Fight Club. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked down. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked down. To the Fight Club. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked down. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked down. To the Fight Club. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked down. Come out your mouth and you're getting knocked down.
If you don't listen, you're gonna feel.
Local sandwich.
The hip-hop writer is a creator, composing understanding words of culture brilliance, powering a rebalance of the elements equally, pages of rejuvenated reaffirmation, simply the almighty leadership of insightful craft work that stands to build through any confrontation born to be. Yet his daily duty is as a journalist that questions properly, uses his ears for the good to filter the real, and as the art decays by dilution, he concentrates the best again and again, exposing it in the print. Today's journalist and tomorrow's historian he listens to share. Here is that necessary attempt executed again and again and again. Peace. This is the Power Right Show on S.STREET Media. This is your brother, the lone low life with the home-sewn garment, the Boricua with the build, the true and living stepping in score. And we are on S.STREET Media, the evolution of media. Just some saviors off the street who come to meet, greet, and talk the beat with you. Now, I am Sunez. I am also known as Skillustrator Low. And I want to read you something. We'll start off with this. Willingness's worst war. Salute ye, O crown wonder, die the must-mattered life. Ones who bestowed the ultimate of blessings of edict and song. The stitch rhythm of all enlightenment, stapled into the cross stitches of the garments of actions and stored as the builder's blood congregated in the chest. An amulet worn deep behind the breath with gorgeous influence. Its culture has always been my power. Its power evermore. Its equality I position to see. Its rejuvenation, my greatest reaffirmation of I. Arm, leg, arm, supreme head. Love, my only intended stone of salvation, stored behind these angered pictorials, baby's queen in all familial piety kept here under the most dangerous conditions. And enemies abound, from the blue boar to the walling trump across the whistling dog's pastures. Snapchat the Hillary-beaked vulture, and IG them many two-fanged animals. Those ignorant and self-hating teeth of our own brethren that only make a must matter of all lives that aren't their own. Love's dulled, deformed into feelings miles below understanding's path. So this mandate of wonder is reawakened and realigned. In the scripts of kung fu or breakbeat verse, hard martial work and hardcore hip-hop sailed in winds east to west, from the mountains high where Tao weighs heavy, yang of love and yin living its love, to the corners of chaos, chipped concrete, crackers clapping, and contradictions communing. Artillery loaded unlike black water, but alike the blackest water into careening mic words of love, and 16 shades of black drum matters into live matter again. Winds whisk and wonders whirl as we wise men wake, willing to war the worst. So the decree, stanza these forms, protect them in Kevlar for transport and safe keep as honorably as the god lived, that they be recited in morose moments of mystery, the illogical instances when we miss his beautiful soul too much. May they always be sung by others, sword in hand, child in mind, and love in heart, remembered in perfection. Peace. This was a piece that I wrote for my brother Kevlar 7. It was written for the piece I wrote on him on his posthumous album, A Beautiful Soul. Kevlar 7 was actually the co-founder of PremierHipHop.com, where I got this this chance to rebirth myself, write whatever I wanted to. You know, for a writer, we worked so hard in the 90s and thousands to get space to write, that when someone gives you a space to write, or as it worked out with digital media, we have the space to write endlessly. And I was able to develop what I'm talking about here as art on art and science on music. To go deeper into the science of music and not just say, oh, that shit was hot, these drums were nice, and this is a banging beat, and call everything horns. Like you hear guitars, they call everything horns. It blares, it's a horn, and you know what I'm saying? Like there's nobody knows what they're hearing, you know? And that's why it messes up the music, because for a lot of the late 90s music, we were hearing the same drums again from the same kits, but nobody knows this. So it's like, yeah, it's hard drums and it's not this and that anymore. So we get real bored with that. So Kevlar 7 helped give me a form. Kevlar 7 was a brother that was part of the Wiseman. Detroit's really, to me, the best group out of Detroit, and I'll stand by that, because it's led by one of the great producer MCs to me of all time, Bronze Nazareth. And Kevlar is and was Bronze's older brother. And they both made beats, they both were incredible MCs, and Kevlar was a real lyricist. So I had to pay homage to him with something I felt was a little bit more lyrical. And his born day is this month, in the May month, so I wanted to repeat that, rewind that, and you know, rejuvenate my own mind, let alone hopefully it was useful to you listeners. But it was an example of what I'm doing, art on art, science on music, because if we don't take hip hop and say we're creating with it, instead of just saying, no, we gotta make something hot with it, then we won't have a culture, we won't have a way of living and stuff. We won't have a thing where you go out inside and do this, you know what I mean? And willingly that helps out in some kind of way, you know what I mean? And it all goes in with the major themes and that we keep on building on, and of course the principles engage knowledge of self, love and loyalty, and original creativity. And just as a reminder, this is the work of a journalist, though. This is a work of a hip-hop writer, a man that pioneered his own element of a creative writer, a documenting journalist, and an honoring historian. And the work is that we're going to appreciate what's great by giving details, and we're going to depreciate some of the shit that's whack, so that we put it all on the right level, so it's EQ'd right. And when it's all EQ'd right, then you can really see what's good and what's bad and make your own decision. Not my decision, but if I give my reasons, then you can see better your own reasoning why you will go with some stuff. But first we have to detox some shit. We have to detox some things because, you know, there are reasons why we like certain things that are bullshit. So I have a feature now that I'm going to be doing in different episodes. It's one of many different types of features. But this feature is probably one of my favorites, though, because I'm no snitch, but I'm a whistleblower. You know what I mean? And because I don't think it's snitching, though, if I say that, hey, I worked with this guy and he was whack. I worked with that guy and he was whack. I worked with them and they didn't let me do this. You know? I'm only helping the next person, though, so that they say they won't let me do that, I won't go in there. But this feature is going to be called Media Mutations, right? I love the acronyms. I'm always messing with the acronyms, so I got to call it Media Mutations because the reason I say mutations is because mutations is something that was taken pure and something that was ruined and it grew into something else. And unfortunately, it still lives. It's not dead yet, so we get pissed off about it, right? So it'll break down media lies and misinformation developed to bloodsuck the culture. Because unfortunately, this whole media that I got into, I thought it would be honorable, but it's really one of the most disgusting places in the universe. You know what I mean? So let's work on that. Today's media mutation is one word, the word relevance. Okay? You know, when you go, yo, the nigga's not relevant, I'm not paying attention to him no more. You know what I mean? And if that worked out, though, would we be having this type of president, right? You know what I mean? But relevance is a term to validate the current commerciality of the artist. It lazies down the journalist who is the leech upon the leech. Let me explain what I mean by leech upon the leech. One time I was building with Thurston Howell III, and I said, you know what the problem is, though, is that the media is worse than any rapper you'd ever battle because they're a leech on a leech. And they're always looking for the next one to blow, so they're always on top of the artist that's whack. So you have a whack artist, and we think that we could save hip-hop if we killed every whack rapper, but then you would have every whack journalist. So the whack journalist looks for the whack rapper that's about to blow or is blowing up, and they leech onto him. So it's like a leech on a culture, and then a leech on top of the leech, though. And it's this disgusting, gross thing that you couldn't draw. You know, we'd have to get a great artist to draw that. Now that leech, I'll call it a leech. I don't, if you have a better word for this, though, I'll just go leech. We spell it with a dash, you know, for all the writers out there. That leech that is looking for the next piece to put him in a greater network, right? The hip-hop journalist isn't paid now because of that by his intuitive skills, his writing talents, or his musical knowledge, but the capture of the next trend. Much of this goes on without you, the readership, knowing. For example, I'll give you a great example, right? The concept of the unsigned hype. Now, this is the sources column, but it goes with everything. The concept of unsigned hype or like columns is sold to us as finding the next hit maker. But that's not really what the action is for, right? It's to find a talent worthy of us taking notice. That means us, the listener, right? The reader, who's the listener of music, to take notice of them, tracking their rise and greatness. You know, to see that rise, you know, like, wouldn't it be nice, you know, like watching a ball player in his first seasons, right? So somebody will go, yo, Sooners, you mean the next to blow? That's not what I'm saying. That's sadly what will prove the worth of the choice, unfortunately, over time, right? And it's a pressure from the guilty bloodsucker publisher, but also unconsciously from the reader seeking to be in the loop of what's hot. So what happens is that it becomes a search for what's hot, but that's really what the blood-sucking publisher wants, and it ends up being what the reader kind of wants to do too, you know? He becomes defined by that. So now to extend that as a policy, the publication, right? Meaning the collective of respect-fake merchants with scribbling utensils, miseducate the people and offering one of the worst qualifiers as ever heard in the history of this music's coverage, relevance. The rapper is relevance because he is trending and is in a sick cycle of being highlighted for furthering a pop formula of lackluster music offered in the shiniest presentations. It has nothing to do with who would actually be irrelevant, because then we wouldn't see Kanye trend. You know, he says things and it's relevant, but there's nothing he's done to continue the relevance. He hasn't picked for me, he hasn't picked the right drums in 10 years. You know? Never was quotable beyond the honesty of savagery, right? because we ever really look behind like the details of his history, he, to me, as a if we put MCs as far as thematic thinkers, like put every MC into themes, his main theme was that he was being honesty about the lack of being able to be any way remotely righteous or with integrity. You know, I'm a savage, this is how I get down, and that's why the linkage with Trump makes so much sense, because so many MCs, good and bad, lauded Trump because he was honest about being a savage. And I remember way back in the day, Trump used to be my example of not accepting honesty, therefore, you know? So it's like, it's almost like someone oppresses you and they say, well, you know, hey, look, at least I'm shooting you in the face, son. I shoot you in the face and I didn't stab you in the back. And say, yeah, I appreciate that. I don't appreciate any of it. And I'm not gonna laud any of it. I'm not gonna give you salutes for any of that shit. You know, but again, you know, in that respect, Kanye's a real beta male pioneer. But that's another story, right? But relevant becomes attached to the individual because he is written of. So you see the cycle. So so-called relevance is a core devolving block that mutates into today's respect my fake, where we see the most integrity-less, uncreative, biting, or savage moves and products. And even when we hate it, we salute the effort. You know, how many times do I have to say, like, I'm not going to mention names now. I don't want to make it about any other names, right? Because that's what trends too. And then I trend for dissing some idiot that I never wanted to highlight. But you know, I find it mind-boggling that the hip-hop battle has devolved into battles between someone biting another person. These are supposed to be things that aren't even up for discussion. You're supposed to battle people because you hate their style, or they're trying to take over an area or a lane, or, you know, any other thing like that, but not because he broke the principle of original creativity. Like, so what's the other guy supposed to say? You know, he's supposed to say, yeah, I bit though, but I'm the new wave. And then we go, yo, you gotta respect that, son. You gotta respect that, because, yo, he went in and he put all his chips in being a bitch, nigga, and he copied that shit, and nobody copied this like that man. These are the tweets that I read. Nobody was like that man, though. That man didn't come, you wouldn't be able to bite the way you do. Like, we're honoring such whack shit, and then it's like, how are we supposed to be impressed? So what happens is that, what really hurts, though, is that relevance's underlying use justifies all the great works unheard and the incredible sounds that haven't found a niche. You know, when you listen to good music, right? When you listen to good music, a lot of great music is progressive. A lot of the greatest music is progressive, right? And what happens with a lot of great music, what happens a lot with a lot of great music is that when you hear this great music, it takes people to say, listen, this is great music, and I don't know if everybody will like it, but here's what they're doing that's different, that's new, and challenging. And then we make decisions of whether we like it or not, what are the things that we like about it. But music is a difficult thing. People don't understand music because some music that's good takes time to listen to. And hip-hop is one of them, though. You have to take time to listen to lyrics. So that means that you have to invest a certain amount of time in something you're not sure you like. We understand that with music that we don't care about anymore. So if we listen to old jazz, we know that to like it, you've got to pay attention to it. And like Thelonious Monk, that's not a really easy taste. It's very rare that I hear people listen to Thelonious Monk and say, wow, it's incredible. They say, wow, it's crazy what he's doing. But over time, you listen and you start to understand. A lot of hip-hop is really, really like that. We just grew accustomed. But the relevance, it destroys those guys that can't find a niche. They can't find a niche that trends. And what is trending is what people have called relevant. What is relevant is the term used by the media to basically sell the cheapest and most sellable product. So what always is relevant is always going to be something that's really, really lackluster and really low based. You know, some real low shit. It's supposed to be our work, that is, not the listener, our work, especially of the journalist, to really find stuff, to really identify, appreciate, and also, as I said before, honorably, not just be dissing shit, but reasons. but honorably depreciate what is out there or what is being lauded, so that way there is some kind of balance and there's a leeway for people to come in. And it's the creativity of the journalist to actually take something that is really good, but they're not sure if people will get to it now, and really present it in such a way where they say, yo, I really think I should give that a listen. And when that happens, then you get what we have as a good music coming out. And it's almost it's a crime that doesn't exist in the media, and it never did as a general rule. It never did. These principles that I'm talking about, they're my principles attached to this element, because I own the element, but I don't represent the media. And they don't exist in the media. You know, so you wouldn't see that quest to do that, because this is a counterculture. Where we're doing it, when you listen to the Power Right Show, you're listening to a counterculture. You're listening to people that make great music that go against the standards of society, but not just to go against them, but to actually offer something better, though. We're trying to replace things. We're not just trying to anarchically destroy everything and just leave it in a mess. Because if that said, we just keep making shitty music. That'll do it too. I think trap music and a lot of this shit out now is the most anarchistic music you can make. Yeah, it'll blow up everything. It blew up my radio. It'll destroy my radio. I want to smash it every time I hear that shit. Right? You know, so the question is, do we salute your relevance and respect your fake? And I say never, because this is a never respect fake broadcast. And as we continue, we're gonna take a break and listen to a really great song, and we'll come back. We're gonna build with the brothers that made that song and are up on this album now. This is the Power Right Show. Your host, Sunya Zala, Illustrator Low. Peace to all the gods and the earths. Peace to my low-life family. You know, peace to everybody that loves hip-hop, though, that really live for this stuff, you know, that without it don't really have a way to express themselves, you know, properly, right?
In the background, all I hear is useless chatter. Bruce bumps straight, then abuse the answer. Refuse to escape the truth. They can't remove my chapter. My words scribe cause the demise of your gray matter. Fathom thoughts of a runaway slave who slayed master. React sharper, ran harder and jumped faster. Nowadays it's all praise when amazing these sportscasters. We need more doctors, more lawyers and less actors. Endorsements for better teachers instead of sneakers. Accomplishment instead of empty promises from puppet speaking. They say we're all lost. To you so hard to reach them if we turn our backs on them. The streets will teach them still. This life's real. Live your dreams, no time for sleeping 24/7. 365, eyes wide on the prize. Watch a sparrow in the sky. I'm narrowing my eyes cause you can't get it back once time flies. So no more waiting in line. You gotta get yours and I gotta get mine. Come on, push. We so close now. Ain't gonna let nothing hold us down. Push. Covered so much ground, almost at the top, ain't about to slow down. Push, 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 push. We so close now, ain't gonna let nothing hold us down.
Long as you teach some learn, baby, learn, earn, baby, earn. The petty things others choose to do is not your concern. What you got in your head can never be taken from you, no matter how much bread you get. Stay humble, wisdom that came in handy growing up in the jungle. Seen dudes lose a lot, snorting candy and sniffing bundles. The kids stay hungry, not complacent or comfortable. Got too much work to do before we go. Some of my best motivation is people that we know 6 feet below, can't speak no more. Live so that everything we record honors their memory with legacy instead of folklore. Folks show ready for when opportunity is knocking at the door. Cause two of my worst enemies are being broke and being poor. Especially when you got a family you gotta provide for. Shit, it's long days and long nights. Love hella right, doing what you gotta do sometimes instead of what you like. It's the fight in the man, and man, I love a good fight. Come on,
push. We so close now, ain't gonna let nothing hold us down. Push, covered so much ground, almost at the top, ain't about to slow down. Push, 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 push. We so close now, ain't gonna let nothing hold us down.
Local sandwich.
Yes, we are back. This is the Power Right Show. I am your host. Wait, you shouldn't have gone anywhere. I shouldn't have to tell you who it is. You should be focused on the music. You should be more pissed off that you were like, I want to hear another song. But this was undeniable. No, I don't mean the song. That is undeniably dope. But that was from the group Undeniable. These, let's go back a little bit, right? I couldn't do the Power Right Show, something that for over 20, really a quarter of a century, right? I have worked on hip hop. I've been writing. I've been fighting for forums, though. You know what I mean? And to give you, listener, when I was talking about fight for forums and you fight for all this stuff, well, I first started writing about hip hop because my old earth, right, who returned, that's my mom, Remembered Imperfection. When I was in college, she made me do some kind of extracurricular activity, right? And since so, I was scouted by the NBA, but very, very, very low. Very low. I might have been like 1,300,000th, prodigy. So the prospect was low. So I was like, you know what? Let me do something else because basketball won't be the thing. So, and Division III, you can't get out of Division III. So I said, you know what? Yeah, that's a joke. That's sarcasm for the, But I started to write, do what my brother was doing, my twin brother, and he was writing in the school newspaper. So I started writing in the school newspaper. He said, yo, you just write about whatever you know about. Because in my family, it was it was always a tradition to just write. My mom just wouldn't let anyone be anybody if they didn't write. We would have to write book reports. We would have to write things in the summer. It was annoying, but look what I did. But I started writing. I remember my brother was the editor of the arts section at the Baruch College newspaper, the Ticker, and I wrote a piece, and I would just write forever, and I would have arguments with my own brother and calling him all types of horrible names and stuff because I was like, how you cut that paragraph? Oh, out of all the paragraphs you cut, that's it? And he'd be like, well, you cut it yourself and make it this many ones away. And I said, no, I shouldn't have to cut it. You should find a place for it. Like, I had no idea about the spacing of a newspaper and stuff like that. Like, or he could have just done publish my pieces in footnote font. Like it's so small that it fits like 3,000 words. But when it comes to having a show like this, and finally now I get to give you all these stories and these insights and bring you all these great artists, I couldn't start the show without expressing myself. But then I couldn't continue the show and have my first guest not be just straight family. Fuck all this other stuff, everything else, but like just family, like, people that come to my home and eat, though, that we're not talking just about beats and rhymes and stuff, but we're talking about what we're going to do in life, though, how we're going to raise our children. We're talking about mathematics, the understanding of how we see the lessons, the understanding of how we see life, and just what we're learning and living together. So I had to bring my brothers Undeniable, Synergi, and Omnipotent, a.k.a. 07.
Peace.
My brothers, family, you know what I mean?
Peace.
And it's, and I do it with, it's all my shows now. I always have to have you as the first guest, you know what I mean? Because it's so fluid to talk with you brothers, and it just happened so great that you guys released the album that I was waiting for so many years. It's almost like we did it deliberately to release it so we come out now, But the album that they finally released is called Knuckle Sandwich. It's impeccable. It's workout music, And don't get fooled. It's got skits though, but those skits are basically like just a pause between reps though, and they're not that short. So don't be thinking you could listen to a skit and laugh along and shit. No, you get back into it, and you better get back to lifting, punching, throwing, kicking, right? But how are you brothers doing?
Peace. We doing good.
We're
doing great.
All right, yeah.
Peace to the guys on Earth. Peace to all the righteous people on the planet.
Word is bond.
All the original people of the planet. Peace to
all the Haitians is out there celebrating today. Big day for Haitian independence. You know what I mean? And the history of revolution.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
Yeah. Peace to all the original people of the planet.
That's right. Yeah.
Especially, folks celebrating
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Independence Day and Flag Day. Part of South.
That's right. You know, the stalwarts of revolution and the standard bearers, though. You know what I mean? Everyone that defines themselves by revolution goes back to the Haitian Revolution, and everyone that wants to get away from it, though, defines themselves as Spaniard and not Haitian. I am not Haitian.
You know.
Right? But yo, out of all these things, let's start. I wanna read something that I wrote to describe these brothers here. I had said in a piece, though, when they had their 5 Finger Discount series, they released 5 EPs with 5 songs each, though. So it was really an album that they just spread out, though, because they're teasers. You know, they're teasers, and they're very teasing of their music. So I said that 07 and Synergy are blessed with such a dynamic conversational tone that injects pauses, all lending spontaneity and deeper relation. Their content is guided by vivid punchlines that detail while devoid of didacticism. That's preachiness. At least the verse is not barraged with excessive facts, expecting a militant persona to lead the listener to their conclusions. Instead, their bars echo a deeper understanding that is delivered in earnest observation and immediately applicable insight. I see the same in Knuckle Sandwich, though, except add a couple of punches in the face. You know what I mean? And there's such a subtlety in the way you guys rap. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny because 07, you have such a sinister voice, though. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to have your voice like for an hour or two. Like, this way, like,
I'm working on the children's album.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good night.
My kid doesn't want to go to sleep, and I go, you just have to go to sleep. And I can't do it. I can't do the voice, though. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I got
And
you.
then Synergy comes in. It almost looks like in this album, it's like you punch them omnipotent, and then when they're sprawling and dying, then Synergy comes up with that light kick, and then he's just laughing. Hey, did you know that? Hey, like, you got snuffed, like, you know? But it has such a contrast, the contrasting voices and stuff. And, you know, a lot of people don't know about y'all, like, how you became a group and stuff like that. And tell me the origins of Undeniable, and also how that links up to, like, the reasons why. Like, why did you hook up as far as, like, how did you know the synergy was there and everything?
Yo, before we even get into that, man, I just want to say, because we just had an interesting couple of days prior to releasing this project. So we want to say, first off, to all the people that have been keeping a careful ear out and following us and supporting us over the course of years, those have been patiently waiting for the project. We really appreciate your patience, and that's about to be rewarded in a major way. What you just got is just tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of people that are a little upset because of the lapse of time that passed, or how long it took for us to release the project. So we just want to put a little bit of information out there for people that have been patiently waiting, so they have a better understanding as to what happened, and also help some artists that may travel down this road to avoid some of the pitfalls and some of the mistakes that happen.
And these are things I was gonna ask, though. You know, so like, you know, get into those origins, and then we'll dive into that, because I definitely want to have the listener know some of the really the trials of making this album.
Yeah.
But 07 and Synergy, how did you guys get together? How did you know? Because Omnipotent, when I met you, you did music with a lot of other brothers, and then all of a sudden, like, Synergy, and there's something different with you two. There's something different. How did you know? How did you did it automatically was there, or you just developed it? How did it work?
Well, we've known each other for quite some time. So I used to say he had a twin brother, because everywhere in the neighborhood that I would go, he'd be
What neighborhood is this? Let's just let it know.
Corona,
Queens.
Queens.
so
Yeah,
it'd be that, you know that. Yo, what up, man? What's up?
yeah.
Go to 111. What's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, he everywhere. So it's 6 degrees of separation. Like, we work with the same producer. That was for a short period of time, and we did music together. We did a couple of joints together, actually.
Yeah, we you know, being the fact that we were in the same neighborhood, again, like we happen to know some of the same people. Corona, Queens is a small place. I do have a younger brother. Peace to Divine
Peace to
Ruler,
Divine.
and peace to B Son. But at the time, just like you said, I've always had a lot of relationships, and I know a lot of people, and it's been away for a long time. God would see me just on like many a mission, you know what I mean, traveling around the neighborhood and in and out. And you know, we had a core group of people that we rocked with, and a few people that we made music with. We ended up linking together, and we just clicked. You know, you meet people and you could tell, you know what I'm saying? You could tell when somebody's right, when somebody's of a certain nature, pure heart, somebody's along the same wavelength for you. Somebody's, I mean, and the brother Sinners is a genuinely good brother. This is a brother that, you know what I'm saying, just like you expressed, is in my home breaking bread with me and my family, my children call him uncle, and this is, you know what I mean, this is now, but you know, we have years, we have decades of
So
camaraderie.
the inception of Undeniable actually was Reno was the catalyst to that. So he invited us to his house. Peace to Reno. He's a producer, also an MC as well.
Okay.
But at that time, he was really into his producer bag. So he invited us over to the Bronx, and he played one joint for us, and we were like, and it was the track for Blue Bacon.
Oh yeah.
And that's when it started. We did Blue Bacon. We did one joint, then led to another one, led to another. Next thing you know, we had Black Market Artists. Then after that, we had A Picture's Worth. Well, I'm letting too much. I'm letting too much out the bag.
Actually,
you know, but
yeah.
it led to a project being created.
For the listeners, a lot of music they haven't released. There's and I want to say that I have like the dopest collection. You know what I mean? I have stuff that, man.
So the inception of this particular project, Project X, you know, we had Project X that was created, and we realized like there was no build up to Project X. So therefore, you have the 5-finger discounts. The 5-finger discounts. And that's pretty much what it was. Now, fast forward to Knuckle Sandwich.
Right.
That was
it happened mad quick, G.
Yeah.
To be honest, like you know what I mean. We once we made music together initially. He was a feature on my first solo album, which never came out. Right, which is crazy because
the same
issue happened with this project. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna get to that. But like it happened like it was so natural, like the fluidity, everything that we put together, it just happened so natural. So some time passed, we didn't see each other. I mean, we weren't creating together, and then when we linked up again, it just 2-3 joints down the line, I was like, yo, we might as well just run with this, and it just happened that way. And now we're a couple albums deep. But this is
the first one. Let's just say we got a lot of music. We're not even gonna call them albums yet, but this.
So there's a whole bunch of songs like you're not, you know, you're still putting it where it belongs.
No. They where they belong.
There's projects. There's completed projects, and then there's a library of music too that we can just fit around and play with it and see what works.
So now Knuckle Sandwich, because I'm egotistical, I think that Knuckle Sandwich was released first because that's what I wanted to hear first. But what is the real answer? Like, because I know there was a lot of trials and tribulations with it.
Man,
you know what I mean?
All I gotta say is, whenever, just like with anything, always have a backup of a backup.
Word for all the artists that are out there, back up your music. Back up your music. 100 times.
Bring your hard drive with you to the studio. I can't stress that enough. You know, to me, as far as that's concerned, basically we lost 3/4 of the album. So we built it up back from scratch.
Yeah.
Right.
We didn't lose it. It ain't like we just dropped it somewhere. You know what I'm saying? What happened is that we were recording a majority of the project at home. You know what I'm saying? In Corona, Queens, it was a big thing for us to do that. And what happened is that one of the one of the places that we were recording at, they had some kind of technical difficulties and had a glitch in the computer and shit and wiped out a bunch of our music. And we ended up finding out about it in a crazy way. And you know what I'm saying, because of this, a good amount of time passed by recreating the album. And you know, certain moments that you capture initially are very difficult to recreate and duplicate. So we ended up doing some different things and added some new things into the pot.
You know, and at the same time, you know, it was to put a positive spin on it. You know, for some reason, I feel like maybe at the time, it probably wasn't ready. You know what I mean? Things happen when they're supposed to. You know, there's things that we did improve on. I'm not even gonna front. There's a couple of ideas that came out even crazier than it was originally.
Right,
But I
right.
mean, again, back your stuff up. At the end of the day,
Right.
back your stuff up.
Question, right? Knuckle Sandwich, the whole theme, though, it's really like it's a great collection of anthemic music. I like that word. I always use that word. It's my kind of grammar, right?
Peace.
Because ain't nobody say that though. Because there's a lot of fucking biters out there. I gotta trademark every word. But the album is anthemic. When you guys said like, yo, we're gonna make an album that has a certain vibe and stuff, how did it become Knuckle Sandwich? Like, yo, let's make this whole album just tough like that. Like, we need that album like that. How does it form
what's
this
funny?
way?
We didn't sit down and say it was gonna be a tough album. We didn't sit down and say, you know what, we're gonna create this and it's gonna be aggressive. It just happened to be some of the soundscape shaped that. A lot of the beats that we chose are pretty much in the boom bap range, but more grimy.
Right.
So it kind of brought out that feel. you know?
Right. Because
So-
for the listener, like, if you go through the 5 Finger Discount, that's a great example. Undeniable is probably one of the groups that they can rhyme off beats that I will hate them for. You know what I mean? And I'll be like, if it's somebody else, I'll be like, oh, fuck that. You know what I mean? And we went through my collection once, right? And I was going through it, right? And I was looking the way it was compiled and stuff. And I kept looking up my Undeniable songs on the Google Play. And this is a while back, before Knuckle Sandwich came out. And it keeps showing me Bruno Mars, though. Why is it listing Bruno Mars? I don't have the Bruno Mars shit in here. It's all hardcore. You know what I'm saying? Right? All the soft stuff is in salsa. All the soft stuff is in that soul. I wanted the hard shit. Why is Bruno Mars coming up in my feed here? But they took that, they looped that, they flipped that, you know what I mean? And they'll do a lot of records that you would think wouldn't work for other people. And then again, as a side note, this is a thing that I build about a lot. The greater, and this is not you guys, that's why I'm saying this, but the more talented and diverse and eclectic the artist, and this goes to pretty much a lot of people, everybody in this room that MCs, the more probability you have of being guided to sell out. I didn't say you're a sellout. I'm saying that you have the opportunities to sell out. If you, like, compare, we'll just use basic ideas that people have, like a Jizza to a CeeLo. We'll pick somebody that did sell out. Jizza, if he did a sellout song, we'd be like, oh, that shit sounds really silly. It doesn't work. But if CeeLo does it, or when he did do it, it's like it works. He might have a nice song like Crazy, but then he's wearing a dress the next day, and he's just off the deep end. And making shittier music and not rhyming the way he's supposed to and that he could about, like, soul food, like. So, like, you guys have that ability on the songs, the way you go back at each other, the conversational tone, I can't stress that enough. So, like, when you make this album and it starts to be this way aggressive, are you going like, oh, let's continue in this vein, though? Because it's a lot of songs.
It's now that you mention it, we did continue in that vein. Now I'm looking at it objectively, like really objectively, like outside of myself. Like it was fun. It was aggressive, put together aggressively, and it was purposely done. I can't say it was just a ragtag matter of fact.
Right.
It was purposely done. There was definitely some deliberate angle to that.
You chose to start off the show with Fight Club, which is one of our favorite songs.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we perform it, like, it's crazy to see the reaction from the crowd. That's definitely workout music, warrior music.
Right.
And that kind of, once we did that, we kind of ran with it too. In the beginning of the song, you kind of hear us saying, describing the state of hip hop, because right now there's a lot of very soft kind of cotton candy music out there. Everything is super.
Bizarre world.
You use beta male. That's really applicable nowadays with some of we're seeing. And in addition to that, because of the commercialism, the corporate America being a part of it, you're seeing a huge watered down version of it. So it's good to be able to create a balance what I'm saying? Something strong, something that, you know what I mean, that you could stand up on your square, write about, something that ain't weak and fucking diluted. So we just wanted to get the people an element that you don't really get enough of today in the music as well. All the while being true to ourselves. Because with the material that we released prior to Knuckle Sandwich, we give you a chance to see a lot of different sides of the men that we are. You know what I'm saying? The brothers that we are. Because the reality of it is that you're not, you're going to be the most delicate if you're handling your daughter or, you know what I'm saying, your woman and shit like that. But at the same time, you know, we real people. So you're going to see different sides of us, and we wanted that to be reflected in the music and everything that we do. So
Yeah, and I think that Knuckle Sandwich, though, it's not, I wouldn't describe it, you know, for listener, they see the album cover, which is incredible. The album cover is one of the best. Yeah, that was,
Yeah,
you know, he's
Straight
really
Game.
good with covers, because he also did the strap-up single cover.
He did the majority of
family.
it.
And,
He did the majority of
Yeah,
it.
we got a
It's
dope
just-
team. We got a dope team.
Yeah, yeah,
It's one of the best.
It's just
pieces
dope.
of that.
Yeah, he's really talented with that. But to be clear, from what I'm saying, I don't see Knuckle Sandwiches as like it's not an MOP. Every song while out, break everything in the room, and then whatever's left over is left. I'm saying that they're anthemic though. All of them have like a hype to them, but they have a detail to them. Even the songs about struggle, they have like that uplifting vibe to it though, that energetic vibe to it though. And it's hard to capture that through an album, because one tone on an album though is very difficult to sustain well and make it a good listen.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you played with a lot of subtleties in the album and stuff, and I want to throw out some songs and just try to get like the recording process of how you think of these songs though, because one of them was In the Air. You know, when you made that one
In the air.
in the wait, did I
In the night. You want to talk about In the Night?
In the night, yeah.
Before you say that, and I just want to say something,
Please
because
do.
the album cover itself, again, which was created by us and Con Boogie, is also important because is like a subtle element there. You know, it's a sandwich, and you know you can look at it and laugh. But the music is food. You know what I mean? This is also reminding people that what you listening to and what you watching and taking in, and this is food.
Right.
So we giving you a hearty and hard meal. You know what I mean? With this listen right here.
Absolutely. And that song In the Night, I don't know why I wrote In the Air. I was on some Phil Collins shit right now.
It's all right. I love that.
But,
I love that song.
Yeah. But tell me about that song. That was one of the songs that was in my head, and
Peace to Somatic, who's a really dope producer from New Jersey.
Yeah. Peace to Kasim Allah as well.
Yeah, the God Kasim
And
is
Debonair.
y'all gonna be peace to Debonair, who is all over the album too. She's doing a lot of background vocals and singing and a couple other things on the album. So is Merce the Big Body Benz. Thank you for your contributions. Kasim Allah, who y'all gonna hear a lot of dope joints that we've put together with the God. We let the music speak to us. We heard the beat.
And it
And,
was
yeah,
creepy to a degree.
yeah,
It was a
yeah.
very creepy beat. But
Yeah.
it had that,
That's what's in the
you know,
background. now.
yeah.
when you go to producers, are they asking them for a type of beat, or you just go, give me the best shit you got?
It's funny because
We tell them, give us what you think.
Goes with you guys.
No.
They know, like, what-
We tell
how's it work?
we tell them a certain. Listen, we like something that might be up tempo. Say we say up tempo.
Okay,
They send us something. You know what? Matter of fact, take the gloves off. Send us whatever you feel would be a good idea. Some producers send us stuff that's so to the left, and then we go for it. It's different. You know what I mean? Like for instance, say Strap Up.
Peace to Dubs Zuccotti.
Shout out to
And
Napoleon
Napoleon
the Legend. Friends Part 2,
Merce
which
the
is
Big
a
Body
very
Benz.
different vibe. It's so different. It's off. You know what I mean? Like it's something that's that's not even. It's not banging like.
Peace to Dre Yard.
Yeah, it allows for you to compose. You know, like really that in the night. It's really in the night. Like it feels like you're walking the streets of New York. You know.
And you know, again, like that's something that kind of when we heard it, we knew that it would be right for this project because of the grittiness of it. You know, like it's kind of cinematic when you hear the music, and like I'm on the road a lot of times driving, and you know I need good music to keep me wide awake on the road, and when I'm, you know what I'm saying, when I'm working and when I'm moving, and this is one of those things like when you listening to the music, you kind of get a feel for where you at, and this is one of those records that's very East Coast, very hip hop, very driving and moving through the city in the night. So it just came together in that way. We sat down with Kaz after we put our ideas together and what we had. He had some poetry that he had put together. And for people that don't know who Kaz Simala is, he's an incredible artist.
That's right.
And
Spoken word artist,
hip hop
Hip-hop
artist,
artist,
fucking
yeah.
legend. He's done commercials and stuff as well. But you know, the God
No,
just
by the way, for because you know you Kasim, Sadat X, you guys are all in the pantheon of legendary voices in hip hop.
Peace.
You know, like they could read the phone book and just like, you know, 554 2322. You know, like it just sounds good. You know,
peace.
it's just dope. But yeah, because he wrote such a good poem that went
Powerful.
in there, and it just really worked in there. And then you guys jumped off of it. How long does a song like that take?
That's the longest song on the album in the night. If I'm not
It
mistaken.
it should have been longer actually.
Yeah,
Technically,
the God,
Technically.
the God didn't even want. He didn't want. He's super humble. I mean, peace to Kasim. He's super
Indeed,
humble.
peace to the God.
And he you know, he didn't even want to put the whole poem on it because he felt like it was too long and shit. But you know what I mean, we
yeah,
real
we sat
real
there and
true
listened
the
to it like
vision.
at least 4 or 5 times.
It fits and
And we were like,
and
nah.
the message as well. You know, because besides like besides the kind of grit that we put into it, we wanted to make sure that people could walk away with something that they grow from. So, you know, you kind of get a perspective as to the reality of what we living at. A lot of shit is glorified in hip hop because of commerciality that, you know what I'm saying, that shouldn't be necessarily. And a lot of times, even when the shit you can relate to, a lot of times people leave out the consequences. People leave out with the, you know what I'm saying, what's going to happen after all the good times and shit, and all the celebratory shit, that all the stuff that people celebrate that maybe they shouldn't. So we wanted to make sure that was really reflected. The reality of what we living in is reflected in the music. You know what I mean?
Right. And you know, this is, I mentioned this and I asked because it's one of the songs that I always another example of like not being preachy. It never comes off preachy. I'm always like. They said a whole bunch of shit though, but it didn't come off like nagging and annoying.
We're not here for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very subtle edutainment. You know, we could say it like that. You know, and the Kasim extending the poem comes off like a bridge in the song. It comes off like an extended bridge. It works great. And I just had a whole couple songs because I think detailing the process between in these songs is really what makes it. You know, and you talked about one of my other favorite songs is Push. You know, and I just love that song though. How did that go about? You know.
Ooh. He put the battery in my back.
Yeah,
Sin put the battery in
like,
my back for that one.
When we sat down to write that, like I wanted, like how you said, I wanted to say something without being preachy.
Peace to Grands and Buddha.
Yeah, shout outs to that production team. I'm trying to like get back into that. It was just a feeling that I just felt like I needed to describe it. Yeah, for better teachers instead of sneakers, accomplishments instead of empty promises from puppet speaking. They say we all lost. The youth so hard to reach them. If we turn our backs on them, the streets will teach them. You know what I mean? Like it's just like you said. There's consequences to everything. You know, a lot of things are glorified, and like O said, you know, the downside to it is not it's not put to light.
Right.
You know, like I said, it's push. You're struggling every day. You know, you're pushing every day. You know, I got a right now. I got a 9 to 5. I don't want to do that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like it's every day's a struggle to deal with certain things. You know.
That's right.
And you just got to keep pushing and stay positive with it. You know.
Which, by the way, the the statuses that you write about experiences on a train and shit like
Oh,
that.
Oh yeah.
Man, I've been telling
Those are some of the
I've been
funny-
telling him he needs to put together a book already because that shit is like priceless.
Yeah.
No, because again, like that's part of it too.
They're like a whole paragraph. So I was on a train and see this though. There was a guy and I was like, really? This is like, I want to go to with you to work.
The stuff that he documents, man, like from day to day is priceless. A lot
Yeah.
of time you should develop that. But to get back to the song, that's one of the songs that is one of those motivational pieces
Right,
on there. You know what I mean? Because again, like aside from the grit, you know what I mean? Like you're supposed to get something out of the stuff that you listen to. You know what I mean? I remember listening to an interview with I think it was either Marvin Gaye or I want to say it was either Curtis Mayfield or Marvin Gaye. But in it, they were just talking about how I think it was Curtis because he was talking about how it's a song for cleaning up the house. It's a song for when you. It's a song for anything. So a lot of times, especially for our people that know nothing but struggle, man. Like you need something you need like a little extra push, a little extra battery in your back sometimes to make it through some rough patches. And I saw a post you put up the other day when it's like when you mentioned that when you listen to music, at least on the radio, the only shit you hear is killers and rich people.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So like we real people. You know what I'm saying? We real people, and we know struggle, and so you gonna hear that in some of the music as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I was when I said that on the first episode of the Power Right show, I was talking about when I go to see shows and see MCs live. We're all going to the same street after we finish this shit. You know what I mean? And it's like I don't see all the like you're supposed to be leaving in a big car and bye. You know what I mean? A million bodyguards, but they don't. And rich people and killers is not always what you relate to. And also, not just relate to, and not also maybe not everybody aspires to it, but let's say they do and both go with it. Everybody's done that already. So it's very redundant. It has a redundant feel and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So there's a lack of context. You know what I mean? And people forget that the artist today tries to make the best music they can that they think they've never heard. But that's already a trap, though, because you weren't born in the beginning of it. You have to make the best music that you've never heard and hasn't been done. So you're stuck having to know about this stuff. You can't just be Kobe and be great doing Jordan's moves, and it'll be acceptable, because it was, though, and he was great, right? And new ones came about. But you have to be original from the get, which means you have to be kind of a student of the past, And when we hear the same themes from people, it's like you don't even care. Like you don't even care that it's not unique. But like when Undeniable goes to the studio and you're making this knuckle sandwich album, right? What was some of the in the song structure and how you format it and stuff? When you're getting to the last couple of songs that it might be a complete album, what are the songs that were at the end of it, and you say, what's missing to this piece, though? And this is almost like, right, we'd say a process you did 2 times.
Yeah.
Right?
There were more songs on the album than there are now.
Yeah. So, like, what was at the end, like, what was the process at the second time that you said, listen, we're missing this song? And what makes a song, when you've got this many good songs, what is left? And you say, look, this is going to be the 14th, 15th, 16th song. How do you decide that?
Well, from my perspective, I think that song was Friends Part 2. Was like the icing on the cake for me.
That's what's
coming on now.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
You for that.
That one in particular, to me, for me personally, that was the icing on the cake, because it was just it just needed something that was just different, but at the same time powerful, and Merce bodied that. You know what I mean? It was perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah, and again, like giving people something again that they can that they could leave with. You know what I mean? Because the subject matter in the song is something that everybody experiences at one point in time in life. But you may not hear too much, like you might not hear too many songs dealing with betrayal or you know what I'm saying, being hurt by somebody that, you know what I mean, you might have had close to you or whatnot. And to be able to give somebody, hey, the jewel, like, yo, you know, you need to look out for certain things. You know what I mean? You need to look out for folks that are smiling in your face and plotting behind your back and things like that. I teach my children, and I mean, as a responsibility, like, you got to show them not only the best of you, but you got to show them your mistakes so that they don't repeat those things. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, especially with our people, we had a tendency to embrace folks sometimes, and you got to be real careful as to who you allow in your cipher. So, you know.
You know, the flip side of that is, like, I have conversations with certain people. A lot of my friends I grew up with. My close friends are people I grew up with. I fought with them. Yo, how long you known each other? Oh, 15 years. Damn. You know them for you're still hanging out at 50. People ain't friends for too long nowadays. You know what I'm saying? When you really think about it, people ain't real friends too long. You know, and that's something that I come across a lot when I speak to people, because it's like I'm not so much an introvert, but like I keep my circle small, really. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like people that I do mess with, I've known them for years. I've walked with them for years. You know, and people don't get that. You know.
I say something too, because when we did Friends Part, this is Friends Part 2, so obviously it's a Friends Part 1. Mm-hmm. And if you go into the website undeniablemusic.com, you'll be able to go back into the catalog and find that joint, which is featuring Chester Steak Knife on the first one. But in the creation of that first one, there's also an important jewel that sticks with this, because I had somebody I was tight with back in the days, and he gave me a valuable lesson. And he was just like, yo, look, you got the word friend. What do you get when you break it into two words? Right? And it's fry and end. She's like, yeah, friends fry you in the end. So it's crazy, because that person ended up being one of the people that, you know, I kind of fell out with, but it was a lesson that stuck with me. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And that was also kind of like the thought process in creating this song in particular too. You know what I mean?
You know, in this theme, as we come to a close, a lot of the things I'll say on the show will have my own themes, and I let you know the themes, the knowledge of self, that love and loyalty, that original creativity. And I think that the reason that it works so well to have you brothers as my first guest, and have had you as my first guest, undeniable, is because there's always a thematic purpose to your music. You know what I mean?
Peace.
It has to say something, but you're not content with just getting drums that are hard and just rhyming off them. It always has to be something that, for you've never heard before. Mm-hmm. You always have to challenge yourself. And, you know, even you know, say we all as a listener, we get used to certain things, and we get lazy, and we're like, oh, they're good though. Just give me the solid boom bap, so that way there's no mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's just solid boom baps,
you can't.
It's nothing amazing.
Yeah.
But okay, at least my brothers, they didn't mess up. They didn't mess up. But you guys, you always have me on the, oh boy, what did they choose now? Shit, oh boy, they went with this shit. What the hell is this shit? Where the hell is that?
Let's see, here was next.
It's a fucking womp. What's a womp with a guitar? And then it decided to do that shit. And then it works out, because I'm like, okay, it works for them though, you know, like, and it did for the entire 5 Finger Discount. You know what I mean? It plays so good. It's like one album, like a long album. And it works for this knuckle sandwich, so like it really has that play. And I'll be writing something on it, because I always write about my brothers and stuff, and they always inspire art on my art from their art. So definitely expect that. You know, as we come to a close, is there anything you guys want to build on or anything like that? Because I also said a lot of stuff in the beginning, and sometimes that leaves people with, you know?
Yeah. You know, there's a couple things you mentioned earlier. You know, just as far as what the media is kind of shortchanging folks when only a certain kind of music is presented. You know, and the way that it's embraced and celebrated by the people as well. What's happened is created like a laziness, where now for people, they don't go out and look for the artists, you know what I mean, the new artists and whatnot, the way that they should, and the kind of quality of content. They feel like, all right, there's certain authorities that are just going to put them in front of you when it's really not that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So in the same way that if you want to know what you eat, and you got to take a look at the ingredients on the box, if you want to be healthier, you got to take that extra step to do that. It's the same way with this food here too. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of microwave music out there. We definitely taking our time to provide some good meals for the people.
Right.
And there's a lot more stuff on the way. That's what I'm gonna say for that. I have a question for you.
Yes.
What's your favorite joint on the project?
It probably right now is Push, because if I was when I train, I start with that one first. You know what I mean? Like I start with that one first and everything. You know.
Dope.
And yeah.
Is that the song you played the most so far?
I'm not sure. Because I always give it a whole listen. I haven't repeated anything just yet. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But we'll see down the line. Because again, when I write about everything, I listen to stuff at least about 20 times. So we'll see. I don't even know the numbers I got yet. You know what I mean?
Cool.
But anything you had to say, Senator, about anything I was saying and stuff?
We built about it.
Because I think you were saying that Kanye has always been relevant.
No.
I'm just kidding.
What I was saying was the leech on leech thing.
Right, yeah.
Which
And I know
was
a lot of
interesting
those
the way
niggas,
you worded it, because it comes to a point where you can't see what the root was, because it's just
yeah.
it's just recycled.
Exactly.
Right, and then you got to question, well, who's at fault now? Is it the person putting out or feeding the people, or the person listening and ingesting this stuff?
Yeah, it's
you know what I mean.
yeah.
It's a crazy balance. Like,
Yeah, see,
you know,
all I could do is say, I don't know where it originates from. All I could do is identify the cycle that I'm coming from, and that absolutely has been invisible. And just like that, I call this decade the invisible renaissance. So everything great has been invisible. And now I have had the joy all these years to expose it and put some visible ink on it. You know what I mean?
and you mentioned something about that boom bap, the sound. It hasn't really changed, because if you listen to trap, it's really boom bap,
Yeah.
because it's that 808. It was an 808 already, and like when you think about certain artists, and I'm not saying any names, if you're really listening to what I'm saying right now, certain artists that are winning are actually rocking their best joints over boom bap material.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You get what you get where I'm going with
I
that,
agree with
because
that,
I
yeah.
really don't want to say any names.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And there's
But it's
gonna-
like you
yeah.
can listen to it and you can hear that boom bap in it, and those are the joints that people rock to the most.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. There's going to be another episode where, in the future, in the Power Right Show, where I go through trap music and the actual sound, and how it's actually mutated. It's, it's
A mutant.
yeah, it's a mutant though. And, to show you how the melody and devolve, but we'll get into all that later. The point is we have Undeniable. So the album is Undeniable's album is called Knuckle Sandwich. Where can they get it though?
www.undeniablemusic.com, or just Google it. It'll
Yeah,
come up.
It's on
It's on
everywhere.
all platforms.
iTunes, YouTube. You want to get a little sneak peek before you purchase it. I mean, you could listen to the songs and stream them on YouTube, Spotify, and just everywhere that you used to getting your music from. So, Undeniable is the name of the group. Knuckle Sandwich is the name of the album. We got a whole lot more in store for you. We have stay tuned. Go to the website, because that's the best way to find out what we doing, where we perform, and so on.
www.undeniablemusic.com.
Word.
Right, and it's spelled Undeniable the same way.
the real way.
Right, the real
And music is spelled music too.
Yeah.
Like how music's supposed to be spelled.
Exactly. So everyone go to that site, go to premierhiphop.com, read what I'm writing. I have some nice stuff coming through, and that's it. You know what I mean? Remember, this has been another Never Respect Fake broadcast, and with that said, peace.
Peace. I kept forgetting not to touch the tape.